Hi, my name is Sophia and today I'm going to be reviewing Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So this is only my second video review on this channel. I've done one I think October about Serpent and Dove, a book I hated, but this is about a series I love, so if it's horrible, cut me some slack, you know. This is my only first video review of a book I actually love. Oh, and by the way, it's not a book, it's a series. I'm going to be reviewing the entire series. So, Mistborn is a really interesting series in that it gives you an amazing setup for book one, and you think that that setup is going to be what really drives the whole trilogy, but the structure of the trilogy is so well done that even though the premise is resolved in book one, we still get more satisfying and deeper into the world as long as we go. Because, for example, I think something that I love in Mistborn is the scope and how the stakes keep getting bigger, because first we have the Lord Ruler and all we see is Luthadel and maybe one other city like close by. We don't really see the world, we don't really see the lore, we just know the Lord Ruler is the problem. So once we're done with that plot, we grow. We go into other cities, we go into Siege, we get to know more of the creatures that are in this world. And by book 3, the whole world is in danger. So I love the scope and how the trilogy is structured so that it gets kind of bigger and bigger, like a little circle and a bigger circle and then a even bigger circle. And you really grow with the trilogy. It's not like we don't spend unnecessary time doing unnecessary things. We just really focus on the problem at hand, and then the consequences of the problem at hand, and then more consequences of the problem at hand, and oh wow, the world's ending. So it's really good. And also the way the structure plays out, it's also very well done with the magic system, because first one we get to know one magic system even though we get introduced to another. In the second book we get to know way more about the second magic system, and in the third magic system, and it's just, there are some beats in every book by the same thing and the same thing and the same thing, and it's just so well structured. And I think Sanderson wrote the first book as just the first book, and even later when he sold, he wrote the trilogy or something, and that's really insane, because you can see the foreshadowing from chapter 1 of book 1 and how that plays out in the rest of the series, and it's just amazing. Also, the foreshadowing, holy shit. Talk about a person who knows how to do foreshadowing and make the payoff satisfying. For example, I think the first epigraph in Battle of Ascension, or Hero of Ages, and Hero of Ages is I write these words in steel, for anything not set in metal cannot be trusted. And we have a great payoff in that, and it's literally the first epigraph of the book. And Sanderson is just really good at doing that, giving you promises and giving you payoff in an insanely satisfying way, and that you think, oh my god, this is insane, and then we get the payoff and it's like, oh my god, this is even more insane. And even when you finish the trilogy, you get this feeling of a perfect ending. It's a bittersweet ending with huge consequences to the world, and everything that's been foreshadowed, character and plot-wise, pays off beautifully, relating to the epigraphs in the I am unfortunately the Hero of Ages, which is one of the first epigraphs in Hero of Ages, and it's just wonderful. I could gush about the way the series is structured all day. I've already touched on a magic system, but that's because nothing I say is really new or adding. I'm not even adding 2 cents. I'm adding half a cent. That's not real, because everybody's talked about this. The magic system is amazing. You could theorize hours and hours upon it. Even though the rules are so set, they're well set, there's still a little bit of mystery, so that you can sit down and theorize about it for hours. And you know the limits, so you know within a box that you should theorize in, but there's also some mystery surrounding it, mysticism, even though the rules are so well set that you can easily understand it within the book itself, but you can also extrapolate upon what is given to you. And as I said, the structure of the magic system, in each book we're introduced to a new magic system in this world, which they all revolve around the same thing, which is metal. And that's just so interesting and so good. In the way that Sanderson introduces us the magic system, especially allomancy, that's a very well used trope that I love personally, which is the character is learning about the magic in the world along with you. It's one of the reasons I love school settings so much. And Sanderson does that so well, and he doesn't make it info dumpy, he just makes it interesting and entertaining with Vin and Kelsier's conversation on learning allomancy. Sorry if the angle changed too much, but I had to stop it. I was talking about Vin and Kelsier's conversation on allomancy and how that was a great way, even though it's a well-used trope, it was really a great way to introduce the magic system to us in a way that was like digestible, even though it's so full of rules. It's fun and entertaining along the way. And when I talk about Mistborn, I can't not talk about the characters. I simply can't. Kelsier, first of all, he's such a good character, like chaotic energy off the charts. To be honest, I kind of don't like that people give him a little bit more visibility than Vin, because Vin is way more explored and complex than it, and has depth more than I think Kelsier does. Even though I love Kelsier, he's just an agent of chaos, and I love his backstory, even though we're kind of suffering from a case of fridging, which is, if you don't know, when the story or author kills a woman off that has emotional connection to the male character for him to suffer and to push forward his motivation. That's fridging. But I think it makes sense here, and honestly, it's a trope and it happens. And I just love Kelsier and just love his relationship with Vin. I love how he said that he and Mare always wanted a daughter, and I love how he has plans upon plans upon plans, and there's always another secret. And overall, I think he's just a really well done character with on-spot charisma that like brings kind of a levity to this book, which is set in such a dark place and has such a like oppressive atmosphere. He just brings some levity and fun to it all, and just makes the book way better. Now, Vin, the true main character of this trilogy. Vin is simply an amazingly well-written character. Her backstory is heartbreaking, but it drives the person she is and the person she becomes, and also her struggles with her own identity. Like, who am I? I grew up on the streets, and I've always kind of didn't want to stand out, because if you stand out, you'll get killed, to like being a person that actually gets put in the spotlight and having to deal with that, with who am I? Am I this person who always hides, or this person who likes frivolous and fun things and being on the spot? And her conflict with that, her conflict with also her own, like, not prejudices, but her own trauma in regards to trusting and befriending someone else. I just think her journey is beautiful, and she's just an amazingly well-written character with a lot of depth. And also, this has nothing to do with her how well-written she is. She headbutts a guy so hard his head explodes. How cool is that? How she steps up to take responsibility and to kind of be the face of that whole movement after certain things happen. I just think her journey is beautiful, and how she starts off as an insecure, traumatized young girl to a strong-willed, responsible, insanely resilient young woman, and I just love her. I love her so much. So I've talked about structure, I talked about magic, I talked about characters, let's talk a little bit about the plot. And man, the plot of Mistborn. I think I've never seen a story be so tight as Mistborn. And I don't know if a lot of people understand me when I say that it's tight. It's just that everything is there for a purpose, and everything leads to another thing, and it all comes together in the end. And it's like it's neatly wrapped with a bow, but also with a satisfying way, not in like everyone's happy, yay, we're done. Each character and each book has its own immense struggles that every character goes through, and like the way the plot is set, we're always focusing on Vin, but we're also getting like a little bit more of the world as the story goes on. So in the first book, we mainly get Vin and Kelsier's point of view. I think we get like Sazed's a couple of times. In the second book, we get Vin and Ellen's and a little bit more Sazed. Like we get to explore a little bit more of the world. And in the third book, we're like the scope is way bigger and we get way more of a lens on what's going on in different parts of this world. And like the plot, it's tight, but it's not like super quick to get to where it wants to go. It takes its time building up the world and the atmosphere and how these characters relate to the system. It has twists and turns, but not cheap twists and turns. Everything is promised and everything is earned and everything is there for a reason. Everything's foreshadowed and it's not like shock for the sake of shock. It's shock for a very specific reason that was coming, it was foreshadowed, and is going to have immense consequences. And that's another thing with the series. Everything has immense consequences. And it just makes it feel all the more real and gritty and realistic overall, because when things like what happens in this series happen, they impact the entirety of the world. And that's what this series shows. And it's just so well done. The plot takes its time getting to where it needs to go, but it takes its time in a purposeful way. Like everything's there for a reason. And it just serves to build up the characters and the world and the plot and everything that's going to come. We don't only have payoff in the third book of the trilogy. We have payoff in every single book and every single act of the trilogy, and it's just amazingly plotted. I think I've said that everything's amazing. Also, the ending of the series is one of the best I have ever read. No spoilers. Man, I don't know. I've already said everything is purposeful. We had an amazing payoff to the amazing setups that have been going on through the entire series, and something that's foreshadowed in chapter 1 of book 1 has a big payoff in one of the last chapters of book 3, and it's there through the entirety of the series. And the end of this series is such a great payoff for character as well. Everything that's being set up, not even the epigraphs, but like in internal conflict, everything has a payoff. And even though the ending is bittersweet, and even though I cried my fucking eyes out, it's still just such an amazing ending to such an amazing trilogy, and it wraps up everything the way it needed to be. Not necessarily happy, but the way it needed to be wrapped for a series that has such, I would not say necessarily dark, but so oppressive themes and plot and world, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I guess that was my review of Mistborn, a series I have read twice. By the way, I'm doing this review after my second reread, and yeah, my name is Sophia, and I'll see you next time. Bye!